Do you see the look she had at first? She was like, please touch me. She was like,
We're live, by the way.
oh.
Are we live?
Yes.
That's much better than being dead, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, no, it depends on your definition of what happens, doesn't it? Being dead means you no longer have to pay your electric bill. It's done.
It also means you're no longer electric.
Or are you? Or are you?
Turn down our high-tech stereo equipment here.
Oh, this is our 25th broadcast, this is saying.
Is it really?
That's what it's saying at the bottom of my screen. It says, congrats, this is your 25th broadcast.
Now, I wonder if that's the 25th. I think we're more than that. That might be the 25th one you've done.
That's what I'm, right.
Got it.
We're going on to what? 30? Yeah, that's what we do.
30? 30 plus or minus here?
There should be anybody.
Well, it depends how...
Well, did we always do study guides? Did we always do
No,
study guides?
well, yeah, we did, but we didn't always do the live feed.
No, we
No,
didn't.
we did study guides from the beginning, didn't
Yes,
Right.
just not the live feed.
we? Okay.
Such good students, we don't remember which classes we came to.
We're just so present focused
Course
that
requirement.
I can spin everything. That's what the degree on the wall says. It says I can spin everything to our advantage.
And the open house is Saturday.
Saturday, so you can come hear more about it.
Yeah, so everybody, there's a OWC open house this Saturday. We're going to have, what do we have, like 5 or 6 or something like that? Little 15, 20-minute speakers that are going to be here talking about things. If you want to come and listen, you all know about the center, but if you want to come and hear some speakers, learn some information, introduce people to the center, we're going to be here Saturday from, what is it? 11 to 2, and then the center will be open after that for some
I
other
think I got
services.
pushed down to 2 o'clock, didn't I? Because we had a few.
I was totally into. We will keep everyone advised of what
Yeah.
their time will be. Thank you very much.
When I'm done talking, I guess
I
it's
heard
fun.
different things.
I don't
What
know.
did you hear?
Well, I just saw that someone got added to the schedule, so I got pushed down. I think, at like 1 or 1:30 or something like that. I could
Yeah.
be
Oh,
wrong.
no, then that's fine. Yeah, 11 to 2 is still.
Okay, if I get
When
cut
we
off,
talk.
it's okay.
I'm at 11, right? I think I started at 11.
Yes, what you eat for breakfast.
Yeah.
And,
what I
and people are wondering if you're going to bring enough to share. Babies.
I'm going to make enough to share.
Oh, okay.
Eat like an astronaut. Eat like Dr. Key. Eat like an astronaut. All right, everybody. Let's take some nice breaths. In. Breathe out. Get into your rhythm. So there was a young boy who came to see me. His name was Brandon. This young boy, as you all know, if you've seen the video, was brought in to see me in a wheelchair, suffering from unknown paralysis. He walked out of the office that first day, healed. He suffered some regressions. He would come back. He would be unable to walk. He would always come in unable to walk. He was always able to walk out every single time. So finally we decided we were going to take this miracle. So we take this miracle and we put it on Facebook. And we were able to see Brandon come in and he was unable to walk. He was in a wheelchair. And you were able to see him get up and walk out. So Brandon went for a little while after that. He was doing really well. And he came in and he couldn't walk again. And so I put my hand on Brandon's head and I touched some points I was guided to touch, and upon just touching those points, Brandon was able to get up and walk. So he didn't even have to go through that process anymore. I just was able to touch him. He got up, he walked out. And then he came in the next time and he was having a similar issue. Okay? He couldn't walk again. So I told Brandon, speak these words over yourself and get up and walk. He spoke those words over himself and got up and walked. Brandon came in to see me again today. It's been 2 months since that visit. He hasn't had any recurrences. He sat in front of me today and he said, I'm empowered now. You've empowered me. And he went on to tell me that I've empowered him so much that he wants to give his life to do what I do. He wants to go to school. He wants to become a doctor, a healer. And he's already worked on healing his cat. He was already able to see the emotional trauma in his cat and help his cat release it. He's already changed lives. He's going to continue to change lives. When you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. When you teach a man to fish, you feed him for the rest of his life. These are the miracles that I was promised when I gave my life to do this. The miracles I was promised were never the miracles that I would perform. The miracles I was promised were the miracles that others would be able to perform if they practiced the practice. This is all about miracles you're all a part of going forward. It's all about the miracles you're going to experience. It's all about the miracles that you're going to step into and be a part of. That's what the practice is all about. It's about empowering you with a way of living, a way of being, a way of experiencing life that allows miracles to happen all around you, within you, and with those you love. I never get tired of seeing miracles happen around me, but it was a most gratifying moment to see another person have that experience. It's about all of you. I've said it from the beginning. I keep saying it again and again and again. This is not about me. This is about all of you realizing your potential, realizing what potential exists in life, letting me be a catalyst to show you what's possible. I'm just here to show you what's possible for you. Because if it's possible for me, and you are what I am, then it is possible for you. Whether it is possible for you in this moment, or whether it is possible for you in 100 or 1,000,000 moments from now, you live knowing it's possible. You don't live needing to have faith that it's possible. You live knowing it's possible. You live with the inevitability of the possibility happening. You don't live hoping it happens. You live knowing it happens. And what you know happens because of my life, you know happens in your life. Always remember that. No matter whatever happens to me, doesn't change what's happened. Once it's happened, it's happened. To see that young man proclaim, I am empowered. It's different now. I'm empowered. He's what it's all about. Now, it has nothing to do with me. Some people say, well, yeah, but it had everything to do with you. Well, it might have had everything to do with me, okay? But now it has nothing to do with me. That's what I'm about. So I wanted to share that with you. His mother as well is experiencing these things. I want you all to open up to stepping into a space of that which is the healer. That which is the healer. Okay? It's not about being a healer. It's about being that which is the healer. What is the healer? That which is loving, honest. That which is willing to be seen as a failure as many times as necessary until it is ready to be seen as a success. That which just without giving up continues to say, I will step into it. I will step into it. I will step into it. You know, I told his mother that I've waited for that moment with that person, you know, for 20 years. Thousands, 80,000 patient visits. To have someone come in and say, Amen. Amen. And then be applying it. You know, it's a very powerful moment when someone comes to see you and cannot walk, and they become the person that is so in touch that they keep themselves walking. They are truly walking with God. It's the reason I continue to speak the story is because it allows for a middle, it allows for an intermediate, it allows for a catalyst, but then it allows for the catalyst to be removed. It allows for that direct line of energy between the spirit and the spirit to guide that spirit's path, and it allows that which was helping and catalyzing to step out and really receive the greatest blessing, which is the sustainable nature of the relationship between what is now aware of what it is. It's the true power of the practice. And his practice, his way of living, will be what continues to strengthen. So that's a wonderful story. So I told his mother when he left, I says, well, it's time for Brandon to do his next Facebook Live where he says his story. Because to me, that's the happy ending. The happy ending isn't what I did to show the miracle of God. The happy ending is what he now does to show the miracle of God. I work very hard to be very conscious about not letting this have to do with me. I really ask that you all engage in this with me and honor that. It's one of the only things I ask in return. When it depends on me, it's never going to be everything it can be. When it depends on all of you, that's when it can be in its full greatness. That's when it can shine. I plant seeds and I watch them grow. I support them, I water them, I nurture them. And with so many of you, I've gotten to see them bear fruit. You need to understand that's where the greatest joy in my heart comes from, is to see the fruit in your lives, to see you all growing, producing, and being. That's the fulfillment of my purpose. So, thank you all who do that. Thank you all who are working towards that. And Brandon, my beautiful little brother, thank you for coming into my life. Thank you for letting me share in your journey, and thank you for letting me inspire you. It's my honor to inspire you. So that's a wonderful moment in my life that I get to share. It seems like when we're not here for a week, for whatever reason, it seems like so much time goes by. When you're present in life, and then so much can happen in such a short period of time because you're not letting time decide how much can happen. In your immortality, you experience such a high level of transformation in any single moment because you're not trying to let it be governed by time. As you practice, practice will become as natural as breathing. It will take less energy and concentration, but until then you will find yourself working at remembering. And you will not. And you will not resist. Focal points. We are leaving behind the idea that meditation is a state of mind that needs to be achieved. Meditation is simply a space that we inhabit. We merely have to awaken to it. Okay? We were created by meditation. Yes, we were created by attention. Meditation is a state that we live in that has a much calmer, natural order to it. Stable. Yet dynamic, okay? Something can be very dynamic and stable. Dynamic does not mean unstable. Something can move very quickly but be completely stable. So velocity has nothing to do with stability. Stability is more to do with the nature of the essence. What is the nature of what is the context of it? Okay? It's not so much the rate or the change of it. It's what's the context? What's the nature of it in and of itself? To be stable. To allow life. Awakening to this space will first be a conscious process as we practice it. It'll become unconscious and therefore more effortless. As we surrender to the process of remembering, the meditative space simply is what is. Brandon's new space that he lives in now is the space he lives in. Never again could he believe that he's not able to do that. So every time you take a step forward and you realize a place of existence, that is the way it is, okay? Just know that now that you know that, everything that happened after that has to be let go of. That to try and remember something before you knew better, it's an exercise in futility. And this speaks to your request, and we're going to touch on that. We take requests, you know. So Sarah was strong enough to request something, and so we're going to spend a little time talking about that. Life becomes wonderful and beautiful and even. No more daily roller coaster rides. No more egocentric personal choices that amount to getting in your own way. It won't be exactly monotonous because you'll always be in a state of gratitude, able to more fully witness the divine order of life and learn from it instead of reacting to it, trying to survive it. You know, Julie Brandon's mother said something to me that was it was a beautiful compliment, and the answer I gave her was quite interesting. As I gave her the answer, I actually faced something. And she said, you know, you have no idea how many lives you've touched. You just don't have any idea. And I said, I know I don't. I said, because I think if I was fully aware of how much God's really touched people's lives through me, I think I would just sit there and cry all day long. You know, that I would just be so immersed in the joy and bliss of it that I would just sit and cry. And there wouldn't be anything wrong with that. Right? But I wouldn't get things that need to get done accomplished. Not that that's not one of them, and I've had many of those days, but I think there's a reason why I don't fully become conscious of that all the time, because it would just be so much joy that I would become incapacitated by joy. Which again wouldn't be a bad thing, but you know, I manage it. So At some point, you have this wonderful job of managing unbounding joy. You know? Feeling incredible joy while staying productive. That's the misery you all have to look forward to. Or keep. Yeah, it's rough. I think comes okay, we already did that. We already did that too. Reflection questions in relation to class, into the class's new enlightenment on meditation. Where am I in this learning process? So how many of you are still working with meditation as something you need to practice doing instead of a state of being that you let yourself arrive at? How many of you, where are a lot of you with meditation? Andy? Still working at it?
Yep.
Okay.
I keep thinking of myself as at the beginning, but after today, I'm not.
Right.
I've started on the journey.
Right. Okay.
So,
Marilyn?
I'm actually consciously thinking about, I'm just thinking about the thought when I'm sitting and meditating. Okay. I don't have to do this. So I'm actually thinking about it.
So you're making the shift. Yeah. Remember, it's meditation, the state of meditation. Okay, now that meditation isn't something you have to do to get to meditation, okay, now that you are aware that it's a state of existence, it's available all the time. And I know it's just, there's a lot of minds that are going to say, yeah, but to get to that state, you have to, and you know what? No. Being fully aware of its existence, okay, allows you to arrive there. I mean, think about it. It's this simple. If it's what's best, and you're aware of its existence, why wouldn't it be best for you to be there? It's only your belief that something takes effort, okay, that allows it to take effort. If you allow yourself to acknowledge that something exists, and you can arrive at it by letting go of effort, then you can be there. The whole notion of how you react to life, and that life has to take so much effort, it's really just the way you're experiencing it. You know? Now, does getting on an elliptical machine for a half an hour a day, does that take effort? Yeah, that takes some effort. You know what I mean? That takes effort. But does seeing 18 people a day take effort for me? Very, very little. 30 minutes on an elliptical machine takes 5 times as much effort as seeing 20 people in a room. Because the effort, the elliptical machine, I'm actually doing something. The seeing 18 people, I'm just being something. And I try and do the exercise in a meditative state too. You know, I try and be in that meditative state when I'm exercising, which it makes it take less effort, but it's still energy, you know. I'm putting out energy to move my body in a mechanical way. Or when I'm with people, I'm letting the energy that I am move through me. So life can be an effortless experience, more or less, if you allow life to be something you can experience in a meditative state. And what the meditative state does is it just begins to lower all the amplitude of your reactions. And by far the biggest reaction that I have all day long is I just laugh. Like my humor, my ability to laugh at things. Like that's, if I'm going to spend my money on something, I spend it on laughing. And then I always feel more energy after that anyway. How has my perspective shifted in terms of what meditation is? It's a shift in how I practice this week. We talked about that. Without judgment, wherever I am in the process of meditation, am I willing to move to a meditative space, and what will support this shift, okay? Just remember, the whole thing that supports a meditative shift is the acknowledgement of a meditative space. You know, go from meditating to arriving in a meditative space, to living in the space, and that's the big shift. If you can continue to practice that shift in your mind, okay, and that awareness in your heart, it just starts to happen.
It's just been such a gift to me because for years I've studied meditation and I've done some mystical things, Kabbalah and all that, and it was always like climbing up a mountain and not ever getting there. I mean, they all said it's not about getting there, it's always about the journey, but it was still effort. And when you shifted that, really, for me, last 2 weeks ago, it's like all of a sudden, instead of climbing, I'm just falling. I'm literally just falling, like falling in love. Just literally like let go and succumb. And it's just beautiful because meditating is not a chore anymore. It's something that I really love. And if thoughts come in, I don't blame myself for that anymore. And so anyway, I find it to be amazing.
That's a beautiful description. That's wonderful words to use. That as you become aware of the meditative state, it's something you allow yourself to just fall into. You know, and yeah, sometimes it's like falling backwards into a pool. You know what I mean? You kind of want to hold back as you're really going to get into it, but you know you're falling into something safe and soft and good, and you can allow yourself to go through the feelings of this as you just get into this. You know, and our bodies are meant to be in that state. They're created from that space. And as we return to that space, they go through incredible regeneration. So what I want to do is I want to just take a second, because Sarah asked me to just do a little bit of a talk on, it was trauma and what? Trauma and grief. And it was childhood stuff, right? Younger stuff? Unresolved, okay? So the biggest resistance pattern that we find in all especially childhood, but it could be younger adults. Let's say anything in the past, okay? Let's make it a big scoop. Unresolved trauma and grief in the past. The biggest thing that keeps it kind of encapsulated is the perspective that you had the situation in. So it's not so much the trauma and the grief, it's the perception you had of the trauma and the grief that made it seem far more dramatic and difficult because of where you were at. So the reason that this is so perfect that she asked me to talk about this is that the best place to resolve trauma and grief is what space? Say it loud.
Meditative.
Meditative space. In that space, you can invite these feelings in. In that space, you can invite unresolved trauma in. Do it in a safe space. The meditative space is very conducive to all healing. Well, why? Because it's conducive to electrical rebalancing. It's conducive to homeostasis. Now, prolonged states of trauma or grief are not conducive to homeostasis. In fact, they work against a homeostatic condition, okay? Because they take you into a place that is not sustainable. But remember that as you go into meditation and as you live in that meditative space, more and more of this stuff will just start to come up. Okay, it'll just start to come up. It'll say, I want to be healed. And as it does, all you have to do is say, come on up. And as that energy moves out of that trauma space, in that grief space, and joins you in the meditative space, it gets transformed. It's almost like when you cut the anchor on something that's being held to the bottom and it comes to the surface. Okay? The meditative space is you're just bobbing along the surface. And old trauma and grief, it's something that's being anchored to the bottom. It's something that's trying to pull you down, right? It wants to go back to where it was. It wants to believe that the way it saw it is the way it really was. Now this is important. It wants to believe that the way it saw it is the way it really was. Nothing is the way it was. Nothing that we see is the way it was. Everything is always completely different when we see it. A moment later, a year later, a day later, it's always completely different than the way it was. See, with trauma and grief, it's so real, okay, because it's so intense that it believes because something was so intense, neurofacilitated, that makes it real, that makes it concrete. But it's no more real than any other experience. It's just higher, it's more facilitated into your memory system because of the trauma environment. It's like a hot iron. It gets sizzled in there, right? But it's no more real than this. Just the experience is imprinted into the system. So those become heavy anchors, okay? And you have to just bob along and then visualize yourself just cutting the cord and let them come to the surface. And as they come to the surface, like a bubble, when they come to the surface, they pop. And when they pop, a lot of times you just experience, okay, you experience very nonverbal, energetic releases. Okay, because the moment of trauma, severe loss, grief, whatever, it's not a verbal experience. It's a nonverbal experience. So your need to talk it out, okay, it's futile. You can't talk it out, okay? When you see someone in full grief expression, which is a beautiful thing, it's a beautiful thing to see someone in full grief expression, gasping for air. That is just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Full expression, full release. Don't give a crap what anybody thinks. Totally engaged in the release and process of their grief. Ah, art. It's not verbal. It's not verbal. It's a primitive response. Loss and grief, it's a primitive response. It's something that needs to be experienced. It's something that needs to have experiential release. It isn't something that can be talked out. It's something that needs to be released. It's guttural. Now, when you're in, okay, or when you're in, and I've been in it, and I hope to God all of you have been in it. If not, I hope you have an experience very soon where you are, okay? For whatever reason, whether it's something that happened now or something that happened a long time ago that you haven't had a real guttural grief release over. Okay, the response to that, okay, I find is very interesting. Because what do a lot of people want to do to someone who's going through that? They want to what? What did you say? They want to stifle it. What did you say? They want to stop it. They want to fix it.
And by the way, something as simple as offering someone a tissue is interrupting that process.
Yes. Let them slobber. Let them slobber. Sometimes, as well-intentioned as it is, even putting your arm around someone can inhibit it. Just be there.
What if it's anger?
As a part of grief? Or just anger?
Anger coming out of somebody.
Instead of grief.
Rage. Let them do it.
Are they hurting anybody else? Are they acting out on anyone else?
Could be growing pains.
Well, if they're doing something to endanger someone else, okay, then that's when you need to encourage restraint.
So anger is a release.
Anger's a release.
But there's also a point where you're dwelling on it too.
That's right. Now remember, what we're talking about is the context of nonverbal guttural release of anger. So honestly, if someone were screaming words and such, that's totally different. This is someone literally just releasing anger. Okay, so not that I'm doing it perfect because I'm really far from being angry right now, but it would just be okay, they're not pointing it at anyone. They're just experiencing guttural rage and anger. They're just that you'd want to just let them. They're not hurting themselves. They're not. In the person in grief, they're not hurting themselves.
Well, you can be emotionally hurting somebody else too if you're like pissed off and insulting them.
That's verbal.
Yeah.
That's verbal. That's the difference. You know? And sometimes, if people would just allow themselves to let go of that guttural anger, if they would just allow it out, they wouldn't be so prone to do that to other people. You know? But those are all unprocessed emotional patterns that they haven't let themselves release. You know, they're suppressed.
You take things and throw them down and that, you hurt nobody.
You know what? I would say that if you need to include it with an action, you know, there's some wonderful things you can do. You can, you know, if you need to act out on something, you know, do it smart. Act out on a pillow. Act out on something that you can't hurt. Act out on some kind of inanimate object. Which is fine. Sometimes you need to do it. But grief, okay, honestly, grief is the one that everyone's afraid of the most. Because when you're in the full throes of a grief release, there's no consoling you. Okay, which means in that moment you are completely out of control. You're not going to stop until you've released the grief. Where a lot of other emotional releases, you can stop. Okay, you can become self-conscious. You can become fearful. You can stop. But when you're in the full throes of grief release, there is no stopping it. It is just, once you start vomiting that, it just has to keep vomiting until you're done. Now, maybe it happened at a time when you didn't feel comfortable doing that. Okay? So you suppressed it. Maybe you became self-conscious about what people were telling you. Oh, calm down, it'll be okay. You know, maybe you took guidance from all these reasons are all, it doesn't matter. Something triggered it to get stuck in you. Bring it into a meditative space. Have your release. Have your release. Cut it, let it come up. I call those emotional patterns at times emotional abscesses. You have to drain the abscess. You have to flush the wound. If not, it'll keep re-abscessing. If you kind of squeeze a pimple and get a little bit of crap out, but you don't squeeze it until it bleeds, it just reoccurs. And you got to squeeze it till it bleeds. And sometimes that last little bit you squeeze out, oh, that freaking hurts, doesn't it? Denise has got that look on her face, like that last little, you know, because it's like that last little, but once that comes out, then it bleeds and it'll heal. There's no difference between these things occurring in us physically and these things occurring in us. We have to vent. We have to vent. The chemical nature of our body is we have liquids, gases, and solids in our system. We're a chemical reaction. So on an energetic level, we have to vent. We're not a closed system. Chemically, I'm talking about that. So if you don't let yourself be an open system, okay, you're not going to vent. And if you don't vent, gases are going to fill up inside of you. And when they fill up inside of you, at some point, they're going to explode. You're going to explode. So if you can vent. But people don't take enough time to vent. They vent out of necessity, not out of prevention. And that's when you'll hear a lot of foul language or, you know, angry stuff or whatever. They're just venting. But we should be, if we can, be more conscious of how we vent. And can we vent in a meditative space? Yes, we can be in a meditative space, and then we're naturally venting. We're releasing without even focusing on anything specific. So that's a way to process those things.
As far as the person that's experiencing, or maybe with the person that's venting, if they are taking it personal in a sense, that's when they're going to try to interfere.
Exactly, Keith. Yeah, they're making it about them.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, good or bad. You know, I'm not saying that like, oh, they're making it about them. I'm agreeing with you. They're making that person's experience about them instead of just allowing that person to have their experience. And again, I take us back to childhood, okay? Little babies, what do? They fall and they whine. They cry. And the baby will err on the side of crying too much. You know, it's like they know it. They know that it'll be better. They want to get it all out. They want it because then once it's out, they get up and they walk around and you see them 10 seconds later and it's like nothing ever happened. Because a baby, okay, is living in a meditative space most of the time. They don't know any better. Everything is good as far as they're concerned. I mean, not that babies don't have trauma or things don't happen, but they're practicing living in that space, you know, they're just kind of taking it all in. Does that answer your question? So one of the things that happens when you go through big releases, and many of you have had this experience with me, but it's worth talking about for just a minute, is you go, I call it a recoil, which is what you're able to believe is being released, okay, falls short of what was actually released. So it's coming out of you so quick, and it's leaving so quick, you can't believe that it can change that fast. So you'll recoil, and you'll go back into it. And you know what I'm talking about. You'll go back into it, you'll hold on to it.
How about this? I was thinking about memory of this week, and it occurred to me just now that there might be like well, we definitely have personal memories, and that we can take personal. But then we also have the fact that we do have memory, which is impersonal. So it's when you take it personal, that's what causes probably the binding and what needs to be released. What can and then you might be able to recognize that it's just memories are like going to happen. It's like in meditation, thoughts are going to happen.
Right on.
Sort of something like
That's
that.
a great way to put it. Did you understand that, what he said? I'm going to restate it for you, okay? It was great. He said that there's personal memories and then there's just memory. And when we use our personal memories as a reference, it makes it about us. And if we just let ourselves just have a memory, this is just what happened. Okay, we've talked about this before, that not remembering this is what happened to me. Just remembering just what happened.
It could have been anybody.
Could have been anybody. In fact, as we know, at some point in time, it probably has been anybody.
So what's the difference?
So what's the difference? But again, when you're releasing trauma, grief, trauma, pain, it's such a personal thing. It seems like in that moment, okay, and this is the nuance of it. In moments of especially of abuse or grief or pain or trauma, it seems like it's only ever happening to who? You. But in an enlightened state, in that one moment it was happening to you, we know how many other millions of people in the world was it happening to at the same time. It wasn't just happening to you. It was happening. So it helps when you go through a traumatic situation, if in the moment you're going through it, you can remember, this is just something that's happening. It just so happens that it's happening in a way that's directly affecting me, but it's something that's happening all the time.
Then when I read this guy's writings, and he was one kind of pointed that out, the memory thing, and then he pointed out that Carl Jung discovered the collective unconscious. Now, when we are meditating, are we sort of like becoming aware as the collective unconscious, or we're becoming, it's like the collective unconscious is becoming aware of itself rather than a person that is aware of something?
I don't know. I think that's always going to be, these are always wonderful questions that are going to be open for discussion and debate. My personal view on the meditative state is, it is just a steady state of energy. It is just a steady state. What's in it? Okay. I don't know. I mean, there could be a collective consciousness energy in it. There could be, I mean, who knows? I don't know.
It's like you don't want. It's like I'm trying to find a self, and am I going to label it? Am I going to label the collective unconscious as being myself? And
Yeah.
Then it's just a transfer. Or
That's it. I think it's just what I look at it as is it's just existence. It's the steady state that allows existence. I don't look at it as in terms of a consciousness so much as I used to. It's a steady state. It's the steady state of energy vibration that allows existence. It's a base of existence. self-propagating, self-balancing. But I think what happens, Keith, as we get into these discussions, is we're trying to find words to describe experience.
It's beyond words.
It's beyond words.
Yeah.
Which then I think can sometimes get in the way of having the experience.
That's it.
Right.
And that's why we're laughing about it.
Yeah,
We're like,
it's kinda like-
what's the point?
Yeah.
I'm here to be it and have it, and watch it and experience it. Talking about it is something that I've admitted so many times is just not, as well as I may talk about it, I'm not even coming close to really talking about it. It's like I'm talking about the elephant as being a small thin animal because I'm just grabbing its tail. But in reality, that's not really what it is. But it's fun to discuss it, knowing that we're not really getting any closer to describing it.
It's most fun to discuss it at 3 a.m.
Right? So that's great.
But sometimes, I'm not even aware that talking about it isn't really, I'll just think I'll be, wrapped up in my talking and really believing what I'm saying.
And that's fun. That's great.
But I guess I make progress.
Whatever, right? You're playing. I mean, that's what you need to look at it as. You're just playing.
Yeah, I don't even want to look at it as necessarily progress, because that's another label.
Yeah. You're just playing. You're just having fun. You're experiencing it through conversation. It's just another way to experience the same thing. So that's that. Well, guys, are we going to chamber tonight? You going to do chamber tonight? Anybody want to do chamber? No, I didn't. Was that?
It's on the seat behind you. It should
Oh.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes.
Oh, here we go.
That's the green one.
Wow. So we have Tanya, and we have Joe. This is Josie.
Yes, the names were brought to me from someone who's not attending the class right now. So as far as who they are, those are the names.
These are just the names. Yeah, and what's in a name, right, Keith? And it's okay that we talk about what these people are both going through.
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a level of anonymity that.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't know who Tanya is, and I don't know who Josie is. They're my fellow beings. So we have two people that are transitioning. So let's do our chamber like this tonight. Let's just do our chamber just in our seats. And let's all just picture these beautiful beings of light. Let's not see faces. Let's not see faces or names. Let's just see two beings of light that are going through a transition, and it appears that they're going through this transition as a result of an experience with cancer. But let's not see them as dying of cancer. Let's not believe that we die of cancer. We die of change. And let's bring these two wonderful beings into our heart, and let's just set the intention to give them full permission. Let's be that essence in their life, that spiritual presence in their life that just gives them full permission to grieve, to release, to leave nothing unexpressed, to take nothing with them that they can release, to leave all their luggage at the curb. And let's give them the courage and the strength to do this, not feeling bad about what their loved ones are going to think, to let their moment of transition be all about their moment of transition. To know that their full release of emotion may cause some around them to release emotion as well. And that if they are the catalyst for that emotional release, not only are they benefiting from it, but they're benefiting everyone around them who then feels comfortable with releasing that emotion. That we must never become too civilized to release primitive energy, coming from a place beyond words, conscious feelings. That we have to bend. Let's give these two wonderful people permission to just bend. To be exactly where they're at. To be exactly who they are. To surround them with our acceptance and our love. To create an environment around them that allows them to just let go and release. And the beautiful thing is, as we do this for them, as with all our healings, as we do this for them, we do this for ourselves. Don't take it with you, everybody. Don't take things with you from moment to moment. Everybody, expiration. Bend into the expiration. Everyone practice taking your last breath. Expiration. Again, inspiration. Practice taking your last breath. Come on, practice it. Don't practice it gasping. Practice it giving the breath at the end. Once more. Come on, take that breath in and practice having that last breath out. Beautiful, everybody. Way to go. Don't hold it back. Just give it up. Not only is there life after death, but there's life after breath. As you are willing to give that last breath up and you practice it. You enter into the meditative space and you live in the moment. Honestly, openly, shamelessly. When did we become afraid to cry? Let's forget it. When did we become afraid to grieve? Let's forget it. We don't have to be afraid of our emotions anymore, everybody. We understand that they're just energy that needs to be released. Energy being created because of an old perspective or a current perspective that creates an emotion that needs to be acknowledged and changed. It's okay. Bring the emotional energy into the meditative state. Take it into expiration. Breathe it out with your last breath. Because every breath, every expiration is the last expiration of a lifetime. It's a moment past. love all around you. Remember in that moment of grief, we have just a second and I want to tell you a story. And I don't think I've told this story before. It's a really cool story. So I was swimming and I had a scenario come up in my mind. And the scenario was, okay, I was out in the ocean and my boat overturned and I had my two sons with me. My older son Gabriel, my younger son Tristan. Have I told this story? You guys remember this story? And I'm swimming and the story's playing itself out in my mind. And we don't have life preservers, for whatever reason. This is the reason for the story. It's a story, okay? I'm not making it up. It was something that was given to me to be contemplative over. And my older son, he's a good swimmer. And so there was an island ahead of us that I knew he could reach. And so I said, Gabriel, I want you to swim to the island. You can make it. Go ahead. So he started to swim. And I said, Tristan, who's my younger one, I want you to put your hands around me and I'm gonna help us swim. First I asked him to swim for himself. And he swam for himself, but he got tired. He wasn't gonna make it. So I went, okay. I put him on me and I started to swim and I quickly realized that if I had him on me, that I wasn't gonna make it. So in that moment, God said to me, well, what would you do now? Would you let your son, knowing you could make it, would you let your son die? And knowing that you could make it? Or would you try and struggle with your son and know that neither of you would make it? And it's weird because I'm in the pool swimming as this is going through my mind and I'm starting to cry, I'm starting to sob because I don't like either of those choices, I don't like any of them. And finally it came to me. And I stopped swimming and I pictured myself just wrapping my arms around my son, my little boy. And I just blew all my air out and we drowned together. But he drowned knowing love was wrapped around him. We didn't die struggling. We died loving each other. And that was the way to overcome that situation. There was no better way. There was no regret. There was no struggle. We just died with love wrapped around us. And as I was made aware of that and I gave myself to that, that's when God said, just remember, every time you've ever died, you died with love wrapped around you. So just remember that you're living with love wrapped around you and you're dying with love wrapped around you. And when it comes time to blow your last breath, just blow it out and sing. But know that don't die struggling. Don't try trying to make it somewhere that you can't make it to. When that point comes and you know it's the time, then just die with love wrapped around you. And then we shift to a snappy little...
I was wondering where that music was
snappy
coming
little
from.
Happy John Mayer too. So... Have a good night.
How about taking it to the street?
Exactly.
Doobie Brothers.
That's right. Oh man.
Oh.
How about old black water? Well, there you have it.